Hi, I'm Mary Beth Garcia, CEO of MOHR Retail, and we are continuing our series that we started in May with Mother's Day of parenting in retail, and continuing on with Father's Day in June. I am thrilled to have Matt Metzger here. He is the founder of a new app, AI generated app that's Loxie, and it helps you retain memory, to help you be able to remember what you read, what you've known. So we're looking forward to that. And it's something more for not just learners, for personal use. So I think that's great. So I wish you the best on that, Matt. Glad you're
Thank you.
Matt was also, and just until recently, formerly the vice president of learning and development for Dollar General. And so spent a career in retail and also in an active career. And he's a dad. So, Matt, let's start off by you introducing yourself and share how many children you have and if you don't mind
Yes.
divulging their ages.
Yes. So, Mary Beth, first, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. This is a lot of fun. So, my wife and I, we've been married now for 20 years. We've got three kids. So, I've got a 15-year-old who is almost 16 and starts her first job. She's working at a quick service retail restaurant chain, starts her first job this week. So, that's very exciting.
Oh, that's exciting.
I've got a 13-year-old son going into eighth grade, and then I've got a 10-year-old daughter who'll be a fifth grader next year. So we're out of those early years and getting into the teenage years,
That's when the fun begins, right?
right? Yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit about how you navigated the demands of a retail career and fatherhood. What did a typical day look like for you?
Yeah. How I navigated especially early on, it's probably pretty poorly. I'm guessing I was somebody who learned more from my mistakes than my victories. I've been connected to retail for a very long time. My first job was at CVS. I was the 1 hour photo guy. So if people remember actually developing, photographs from cameras, I started as I was a buyer at the Kroger company. I had an e-commerce company that I started that focused on gift retailing, and then I've been in professional services focused on retailers, and then with Dollar General for a long time. Um, yeah, it's not easy. One of the things that I realized, and it took me a long time, is specifically in retail, and this is probably true elsewhere. It's that the work is never done. Like,
Mhm.
that's the nature of the
Agree.
work. It is never, ever done. And so at some point in time, you have to realize, like, as a dad or as an employee, as a whatever, that you have to choose it. Like, you can't let the work choose you. You're here, you chose this, and you can't see yourself as a victim of it. And because if you see yourself as a victim of it, all of a sudden you have no power to make an alternate decision. So that was probably a little bit of a light bulb, and I got it a little late, I think, was that it's up to me to choose it, because at the end of the day, the work is absolutely never done.
Absolutely. There isn't a balance, right? It's
Mm-mm.
making those choices. Like you said, work's
Mhm.
never done. So you've got to call it, right? And you got to
Yeah.
know when it is to call. In what ways was being a father influenced how has it influenced your approach to leadership development? Because you've spent a lot of your career
Yeah.
in learning and development and helping retailers grow. What about being the father really kind of helped influence that?
Uh, well, I'll tell you, probably there's two sides of that coin. Um, Being a dad, I think you get a sense for caring about the whole person in a different way at least for me, before I was a dad. You see your kids growing from completely incapable in certain areas to like fully capable in certain areas, and you have to be okay with that. Like, you can't just assume because you know something that child will automatically know something and develop it, be able to, it will develop within them so that they can accomplish it. And it's in the same way at work. uh, it's that whole idea of hiring for will and developing the
Right.
skill, having the patience for that, I think was something that you get out of fatherhood. The flip side, though, which I think was interesting, was how work influenced me as a dad, because I had some consulting friends who had this phrase that they taught me, which was, your system is perfectly designed for the outcomes you're experiencing. Right now, your system is perfectly designed for the outcomes you are currently experiencing. So if you don't like your outcomes, your system's designed for it, right? Um, and that helped me realize at work, like my job is to design the system, design the environment that leads to outcomes. And it's the same thing at home. Like, have you ever, tried to get a teenager to clean up a room? Good luck, right? You can't just control, you can't just speak it and expect it to happen. It's influence. So how do you create the systems? How do you create the environment, the incentives, the disincentives that influence behavior over time? And I think like that's something I for sure learned from work, and found that, you know what, people at work aren't that much different than people in your home.
Absolutely. And being able to have that insight to realize it also helps you not have to be different, right? You don't have to
Right,
remember who you are. Right.
right.
Absolutely. So, with the demanding long hours, constant
Yeah,
change, what strategies really helped you? I hate to use the word balance, but helped you set those boundaries we talked about earlier, but
yeah.
also stay connected as a dad and stay connected to work.
Mhm. Yeah, I was thinking about I actually wrote a post about this just recently. And I've kind of landed where I what I think to be true, which is that like balance is a lie. It's like, the more I've thought about it, the more I believe that balance and achieving balance it sounds great. Like it sounds like this thing that we should all want, but it's actually a lie. I mean, if you think about balance, it literally means stasis. It means like nothing is changing. Which in life, one, that's unachievable. But two, if you think about I go back to when you're a kid, a balanced teeter-totter that isn't moving is absolutely no fun. It's super fun though when it's unbalanced. When you have, you're the small person and you have the big adult at the other end and they're flying you up and down. Like that's fun. That's adventurous. That's life.
Right.
And if you
It's
think
risk.
about it's risk, right? So for me, well, and if you took it to its extreme and everybody sought a balanced life, and that's what we all achieve, you would never see anything great. We probably wouldn't have gotten to the moon, probably wouldn't have the car you drive today. You may not have the organization, the charity, the ministry that you love that's changing lives probably wouldn't exist. We may not even have the country that you live in today. But it's because people weren't balanced. They obsessed, they essentially aligned their life with their purpose. That to me is more meaningful. So that's how I look at it. I that it's less about balance, and it's more, which is I think so difficult to achieve. And it's more about what's your purpose and how are you aligning your choices, your decisions to that purpose.
I think that's great. And that's very helpful, especially for new dads starting, or
Mhm.
younger in their career, because this is wisdom you've learned through a great career. And like you said, we learn by the mistakes that we make and the
You
environment that we
do.
create.
You do. And when it comes to it's to me, it's we get in this trap of trying to equalize quantity when quantity to me really doesn't matter as much as quality. It's
Mhm.
it's about like when you are at work, be all in. Like, how do you be all in to maximize every moment? And when you're at home, when you're with kids, how do you maximize those moments? Do we sit down and just
Right.
watch TV? You won't remember that. But do you out and do something? One of the things I try to do with each of my kids is intentionally engage in what they're interested in. Whether it's my youngest who she just loves to play games. So that's what we do. We'll play Uno, we'll play Skip, whatever it is, but we'll sit there and it might take 15, 20 minutes, but that's meaningful. Or my son, he is very interested in engineering and computers, and his knowledge goes way beyond mine. But when he's talking to me about something that he's an idea he has, I'm doing everything I can to listen and to think critically so that I can try to keep up with him in that moment to show him like I'm here with you in this thing. So to me, that's the hack. Like that's the trick. How do you
Absolutely.
make the moment meaningful versus try to add minutes in order to make that meaningful.
Right. I mean, that's what they always say, right? It's the experiences, it's in the moment versus
Yeah.
material things that really make a
Yes.
difference. And that's the quality you're talking about versus the
Hmm.
quantity. So that's helpful for all the young retail leaders that are new dads trying to do it all. Thinking about that, and you have three children. So what is one dad moment that kind of stands out for you in your memory that kind of said to yourself, I'm kind of getting this, I mean, whether or not be
Mm.
balanced, but I think I'm able to manage both at the same times and really stay connected to your values as a leader at work, but also as dad and father and inspiration to your children. Is
Yeah.
there one moment, or maybe I know you've got three children, so I'm not making you ask you to choose. That's a bad thing, right?
You're right.
But just, maybe something that stood out when you kind of felt like I'm getting this and it's starting to work out a little bit better, smoother.
Yeah. Well, and you're asking me about memories, and I'm a guy building an app because I have a terrible memory, and I
Yeah,
need
maybe there's an
and I
app
need
for
help
that.
remembering more, right?
There will
Um,
be soon.
right.
Loxie.
Uh, you're right. So, when I think about that, actually, I don't have a specific moment, but I have like the light bulb,
Hmm.
and that really goes back to that idea that the work is never done, but it's more so that. Um, Urgency will always be there. You will always feel it until you
Hmm.
choose not to. And I think it wasn't that long ago, probably just a couple years ago, and I'm in my 40s, and so I'm a slow learner. It took me a while um, to realize that that feeling that the sky is falling, that every fire is one that I have to put out. I'm doing that. I'm putting that on me. I'm the one who's responsible for it, and I'm the one who has ownership over it. And finally freeing myself, and I don't know if I don't have a particular formula for it, but usually it comes when you leave and you realize there were fires going and the world didn't end. And so if getting to that place where I was finally fine with letting some fires burn and getting back to them later gives me control over how I'm going to choose to invest my time. So I can say, yes, I'll go play a game with you. I can say, oh, yes, buddy, show me that thing that you were just telling me about. Because some things in that, that tyranny of the urgent, some things in that urgent and
Hmm.
important, recognizing where things truly live can give you freedom over how you choose to spend your time.
Absolutely. I think that's great advice. And I think it's also sometimes things have a way of working them out in 12 hours,
They
right?
do. They
Good
do.
night's
Sometimes they
sleep.
don't need you.
They're
Like,
not as urgent, or
yes,
sometimes they don't see at face value. So great advice
yes.
on that. What do you think retail organizations can do to better support parents,
Ooh,
dads, especially dads, in leadership roles, but also throughout their career? What are some of the things that you think retail organizations can do to help better support
yeah.
dads?
Yeah. Well, it's a good question. I think because I think there are things, an organization in my mind is responsible for creating the environment in which somebody operates. And so one of the things is having a commitment to investing in your leaders. Because if you're not investing in your leaders, if you're not, as they come up, if you're not teaching them how to see the big picture, they will always be stuck in the level before. They will be always constantly stuck in the minutia, and that's where the urgency thrives. That's
Mhm.
where feeling the fire thrives. And so it's very difficult for somebody to make aligned, prioritized decisions when all they do is feel the heat. So investing in their leaders, their capacity, so that they can see at a different level, I think is huge. The other thing from an organizational perspective, and this I think this is a cultural thing within organizations, but also is owned by leaders. And that is having grace for when the pendulum does need to swing. We ask a lot, like in retail, you ask a lot of your people. It has to go both ways.
Mhm.
A company that demands a lot needs to also be willing to give a lot. And
Mhm.
when you do that, you'll find that loyalty lasts for a lifetime. So that's probably number two. And then the third one, which is probably connected to the first, is is intentional focus on development, very
Mhm.
tactical, tangible, practical focus on development consistently. This is something that we always did on our teams, and it's an investment that pays off in the long run because it creates leverage. It enables people to create more output for any single unit of time. And when people feel invested in, when they feel like they're being developed, they're more engaged. And we all know what happens when you have more engaged employees. So that in my mind is where an organization should go. It's commitment to invest in leaders, be there, have grace her when that pendulum swings, and have a tactical, true, practical focus on development.
Absolutely. And it does build loyalty. I just was talking to a client the other day about pendulum and swinging. How
Mm.
many times have you heard in the last 10 or 15 years of how to build an orientation or onboarding issue that can create a 20-year associate? I mean,
Yeah.
now it's the pendulum is swinging back to we want. It's not job hunting. And I think
Yes.
the three tips that you said that retail organizations can do really stand out with building that employee loyalty and having them get a vested interest in building their career
Hmm.
with the company. So well
Completely
said.
agree.
Great ideas and tips. I have really enjoyed our time together. Matt,
Yeah,
before we
this is
leave, are there
great.
are there any thoughts or anything that you were thinking about when I asked you and twisted your arm really tight and said, please, you're a great dad. I need you to share that wisdom with other dads in retail. Was there anything else that you think, is important to share, trying to, for those that are trying to make an impact at home and an impact at work as they're growing their family?
You know, maybe it's that, you give yourself as much grace as you're going to give to
Mhm.
somebody else, because none of us have this figured out. That's just the reality. None of us have this
There's
figured
not a
out.
playbook, right?
No, there's not. But it is our responsibility to learn, and it is our responsibility to grow. So give yourself, I'm saying this to myself as well. Give yourself the grace to do that.
Mhm. Yep, grace and grit, right? And that's how we leave
That's
you
right.
here
That's right.
with
That's
Father's
right.
Day. Matt, thank you so much for your time. But most of all, have a happy Father's Day. I hope you're
Thank you.
planning a great weekend with your three children. And I look forward to connecting with you again. And best luck with the new app and with Loxie. And I
Yes.
hope it's a tremendous success. And I hope I remember to always use it.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Mary Beth. Thank you
Thanks,
so much
Matt.
for having me. This is great.
Thanks. All right. I did stop. Yeah.